hello to everyone who is here today and for thanking you for joining our workshop. First of all, my name is Laura and I'm representing Transylvania IT Cluster team. And beside of being part of SEISMEC project, I'm honored to be here with the amazing speakers from this amazing project. I'm delighted to open this workshop titled Flip the Script: Powering Worker Participation in the Design and Implementation of Technology, organized, as you already might know, under the Horizon Europe funded project SEISMEC. Thank you again for taking the time to be here, whether you're joining from academia, industry, policy, or other sectors. Your perspective is what makes today's discussion truly valuable. This project, this event, this workshop is registered and will be published on the social media channels of SEISMEC project. If you want to change your name, this is the moment. If you want to close the video, this is the moment. You will appear, if not, in the boxes that you will see on our YouTube and other social media channels. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to understand what SEISMEC project is all about. Maybe some of you already know, some of you already took part in our other workshop, or you already read something about the SEISMEC project, but it's important to say that the project's acronym stands for Supporting European Industry Success Maximization through Empowerment-Centered Development. Our mission basically is to shape a new wave. Just a moment. I'm just admitting some other participants. So our mission is to shape a new wave of human-centric, tech-enabled, and collaborative Industry 5.0 workspaces, where technological innovation goes hand in hand with worker empowerment. In SEISMEC, we believe competitiveness and human centricity are not opposing forces, but complementary ones. This shift, the SEISMEC shift, represents our vision for a brand new Industry 5.0 framework, one that strikes the right balance between disruptive technology and human-centric values. When workers have a voice, when they understand and help shape the technologies they use, innovation becomes more sustainable, trust grows, and productivity improves. So, in SEISMEC, we are not just asking how can technology transform work, but also how can people transform technology to create better, fairer workplaces across Europe. We aim to understand the delicate balance between workers, organization, technology in a rapidly evolving industrial ecosystem. We test practical tools and methods that strengthen collaboration between humans and technology across 17 pilots projects in 17 countries and 14 industries, and we show how human-centric innovation can create a more skilled, creative, value-driven workforce in Europe. And finally, we aim to influence by translating our findings into concrete recommendations that connect workers, industry, and policymakers to build a more inclusive and competitive future for European industry, which will come by the end of the project. Let me show you a little bit today's agenda. We will have 4 parts. Worker participation in technology design, its benefits, challenges, and the agile approach. Next, introduction to the SEISMEC AGILE Guidebook, a practical roadmap for implementing worker participation. Real-world case studies from the automotive and textile industries. Reflection and open discussion, how you can empower workers in your own organization or ecosystem. Good. Again, if you join later, hello. I think that all the things that I already said sounds amazing, even for me. and I'm so happy to get started. First of all, I'm gonna introduce our fantastic speakers for today. Veronica Bach, PhD candidate in the Department of Media and Communication at Erasmus University Rotterdam. Within the project, Veronica's work focuses on human centrism in relation to skills and employment. Through socioeconomic mapping and collaboration with related Horizon Europe project, her research aims to identify future skill requirements for Industry 5.0. Veronica's broader goal is to contribute to research and adaptation to workplace technologies, employee participation, and reskilling, upskilling initiatives. Next, Chantal Ho, also a PhD candidate at Erasmus University Rotterdam, focuses on developing the structural dimension of human centrism to support the creation of the SEISMEC framework, which aims to deepen understanding of what human centricity means in practice. Her broader research interests include human-centered approaches to trust and acceptance in advanced technology implementation with the goal of contributing to inclusive and equitable workplaces across European industries. And finally, but not least, Dr. Vladimir Kobashaki, postdoctoral researcher at the Erasmus University Rotterdam School of Management. Vladimir is a certified data analytics professional. Within the project, he focuses on the social aspect of human algorithm collaboration, specifically on complementarity and its impact on fairness. He co-developed a step-by-step guideline on how to involve workers in the design and implementation of technology. His research interests aim to address the following: how to develop algorithms that are fair and complementary with human performance, and how to develop approaches to enable human centricity in advanced technology implementation. And I'm going to ask Veronica Bach and Chantal Ho to take the lead and to start the first session: worker participation in technology design, benefits, challenges, and the agile approach. Over to you, Veronica and Chantal.
Thank you very much. We will share the screen in a minute. Till then, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Everyone can see the screen now? Yes, I think screen is shared. Okay, so before we go into more detail, I would like to briefly introduce the task that we focused on in the project, namely the task about the method approach for worker participation in technology design and implementation. Our aim was to understand employee participation from both organizational and technological perspectives, recognizing that successful participation depends not only on how technology is designed, but also on how organizations structure and support that involvement. Our research was based on interviews with academic experts and managers from different organizations implementing advanced technologies. And now we would like to move on with a question in the Mentimeter to get us all thinking. When you hear the term worker participation in technology design and implementation, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You can write a few words or phrases, and then we will look at your answers in a moment together.
Can you show the QR code again?
Oh, yes. Great. Great. I can see some interesting responses already on the screen. So some of you are thinking about engagement, collaboration, others about co-creation, inclusivity, and fairness. But I also see words of empowerment highlighted several times: collaboration, co-creation. All very AI Act, employee voice, workplace democracy. These are all very important aspects of employee participation, and we can conclude that employee participation means many different things to different people, and that is exactly what we are here to explore today. But first, let's focus more on the question, how does SEISMEC view worker participation in technology design and implementation? At its core, it is about involving the people who actually use or are affected by new advanced technologies in the decisions on how these technologies are designed, how they are being implemented, and how it evolves, or they evolve over time. It's the idea that those closest to the work, the operators or users, have valuable knowledge that should shape the systems they work with. Worker participation is essential because optimal technology solutions must serve both organizational objectives and employee needs equally. When we embrace these Industry 5.0 principles, we are prioritizing human-centric technological development that creates advanced technology transformations that are not just innovative, but also inclusive and socially sustainable. Now, participation can take different forms. On the one hand, direct participation, where workers are hands-on, actively involved by joining workshops, testing tools, or co-designing solutions. And on the other hand, indirect participation, where their views are represented through union representatives, work councils, or formal feedback channels. Both matter and both play a role. And the key is finding the right mix for each specific context. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. What works depends heavily on the organizational and contextual environment where it's applied. Direct participation brings real-world experience into design, while indirect participation ensures fairness and collective voice. Together, they can create a balanced and effective approach to change. So why should organizations actually do this? Beyond it being the right thing to do ethically, there are real tangible benefits. From our research and from real-world examples, we have highlighted 5 main benefits. Let's walk through them. First, better fit with real work. Workers bring first-hand experience. They know what happens on the shop floor. They know the shortcuts, workarounds, pain points, where things actually break down to day to day. Their input ensures that new systems or tools fit the realities of daily work, not just the designer's assumptions. Second, greater acceptance and trust. Change is hard when it's imposed from above with no explanation. But when workers are part of the process, they understand the why. They feel ownership, they trust leadership more because they are not just being told what is happening, they are helping shape it. That shift from being subject to change to being part of change means a lot. Third, better design and innovation. Workers spot inefficiencies and risks that designers might miss. They troubleshoot problems. They can tell what slows them down and what helps, and where improvements are possible. This collaborative approach doesn't just fix problems, it also reveals opportunities for innovation. And fourth, motivation and skills building. When employees are part of the process, they are also learning new things about the technology, teamwork, and change itself. They are building confidence. They are developing new skills. And those skills make them better contributors going forward. It becomes a positive cycle of engagement and competence. And finally, improved well-being. When workers have a voice in decisions that affect their daily work lives, they experience less stress, more autonomy, and greater job satisfaction. Technology transitions become less threatening and more empowering. In short, participation is not just the right thing to do, it is also the smart thing to do. It leads to technologies that work better and organizations that adapt faster. Of course, getting there isn't always easy, and participation is important, but not always the final solution. So in our research, conversations with experts and with pilot organizations, we also aim to identify several key challenges that can stand in the way of this of meaningful involvement. And I would like to give the word to Shanta now, who will walk you through the challenges and the agile approach that we have taken.
Okay, thank you very much, Veronica. So, of course, participation doesn't always look perfectly. It can face real world challenges, and understanding those help us design better approaches. So, we have identified 5 main challenges. The first is resistance to change. And this can come from both sides, from the manager perspective and the employee perspective. Workers might fear jobless, increased workload, or just the uncertainty of new technologies, while managers might be skeptical about participatory approaches and worried about losing control or slowing projects down. The second challenge is lack of genuine management commitment. Participation only works when leadership doesn't just talk about it, but actively supports it with time, resources, and follow through. Without this support, participatory efforts can quickly become superficial or just symbolic. Workers recognize when their input isn't taken seriously, and when that happens, they lose trust and they become disengaged. Managers therefore need to move from passive approval to active sponsorship. The third challenge is skill gaps on both sides as well. Workers may not feel confident engaging in discussions around technology, especially if the language is technical or too abstract. Meanwhile, managers often lack the tools to facilitate participatory processes effectively. This challenge can be addressed with targeted training, mentoring, and supportive facilitation, building capacity so that everyone feels empowered to contribute meaningfully. One common pitfall is unclear or unstructured participation. If the process lacks a clear purpose, or if feedback isn't followed up with action, workers can quickly become confused. They need to know why they are being involved, what is expected from them, and what will happen with their input. Without any structure or transparency, even intentioned participation can feel like a waste of time. Finally, communication is critical and often a weak spot within organizations. If information doesn't flow clearly between workers, facilitators, and decision makers, participation breaks down. Poor communication can lead to misunderstandings, mistrust, and missed opportunities. What's needed are open, consistent, and two-way communication channels so that feedback is acted upon with responses and feedback and updates. So, what is the good news? When these challenges are addressed directly with planning and clear structures, they become opportunities to build stronger, more inclusive, and resilient approaches to change. So, now let's look at one approach that can make worker participation more effective, the Agile approach. So, Agile originally came from software development, but it's evolved into an organizational mindset, a way of working that is flexible, responsive, and human centered. That makes it ideal for guiding worker participation during technological change. We focused on 6 practical agile principles that can shape and strengthen worker participation. So, the first one is empowering workers through autonomy and self management. Agile is about decentralization, it gives workers ownership over their roles and decisions. That autonomy builds engagement, accountability, and trust. When workers feel empowered, they are far more likely to embrace new tools and take initiatives. Second, iterative feedback loops for continuous improvement. Agile is fundamentally iterative, meaning feedback isn't just a checkbox at the end, but it's a continuous process. Workers are involved early and often providing real-time input that helps guide improvements. This keeps organization responsive to what actually is happening on the ground, not just what is planned on paper. 3, cross-functional collaboration and teamwork. In agile environments, teams are cross-functional and fluid. That means that workers from different roles and departments collaborate closely, not just with each other, but also with management, designers, and developers. This collaborative approach ensures that knowledge and experience of frontline workers gets built directly into technology decision. And that diversity of input leads to better and more inclusive outcomes. 4, enhancing transparency and open communication. Workers should see how decisions are made, understand the bigger picture, and know how their input contributes to change. This openness builds trust, reduces resistance, and helps everyone stay aligned with organizational goals. It makes communication more empathic and two-way something that's essential in any human-centric technological change. 5, aligning agile with digital transformation. Digital change is rarely linear. It requires testing, learning, and adapting. Agile methods provide the structure to do exactly that. They support early and ongoing worker involvement, ensuring new technologies are actually useful and minimally disruptive. Combined with proper training and support, Agile smooths the transition and reduces stress. 6, enhancing participation through Agile frameworks like Scrum, Kanban, or Kaizen that can organize worker participation and make it visible and continuous. And let's not forget incentives, both intrinsic like autonomy and purpose, and extrinsic like recognition and rewards. Whether through mentorship, training, or even gamification, these methods can embed a participatory mindset over the long term. So, to wrap up, what are the key messages here to remember? Worker participation is not a checkbox exercise. It's about involving people meaningfully in how technologies are designed and implemented in organizations. It leads to better technology, smoother transitions, more engaged workforces, and ultimately better outcomes for everyone. It is a strategic advantage if it's structured and supported. The agile mindset offers a practical way to make that happen through collaboration, iteration, transparency, and empowerment. Of course, there is no one size fits all solution, as Veronica explained. Every organization, every workforce, and every industrial context is different. But agile principles offer a solid foundation for tailoring worker participation strategies that are flexible, inclusive, and effective. So now I will give the floor to Vladimir, who is going to explain the SEISMEC Agile Guidebook, followed by interactive discussions on real-life case studies.
Recording in progress.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm very happy that a lot of people got interested on worker participation because we are inundated with technologies, but some companies, organizations actually forget about, the employees, which should be the center and the heart of everything. Okay, so at this moment, I'm going to discuss the step-by-step guidelines or guide that we actually develop for companies to actually implement, because it's not all theoretical. It's not all like academic. We need to be practical, Companies must be able to use it to implement it in the organization. So, next slide. Yes. So the Agile, to give you an overview, the Agile Guidebook has 4 sequential steps. So these are practical steps and also 7 transversal steps. So these are, we view this as a, how you say it? We view this as a sort of, considerations at every step, wherein the organizations can actually reflect on what specific options that they want to take. And then, by the way, after this, we'll have some case studies where we can actually have a more hands-on, an interactive discussion on these several steps. So for the 4 sequential steps, the first step is, of course, we have to, if you want to apply, this worker participation, you have to identify the model for worker involvement. So this model of worker involvement actually depends on, first, the project goals. So what are the goals of your project? It's also dependent on the organizational culture and also the management employee readiness to engage. So we need to realize that even if we want to involve our workers, if our workers does not have the know-how or is not really that familiar with this technology or don't have experience, then we might make some adjustments in the process. But there are four options we can choose from. So first is we can have a designer representing workers. So this one is actually the more like worker detached option, because it's just the designer thinking about how workers actually will use the technology. So they don't even consult. They just sit in the room and think about the design implementation. But there's also another option, which is a designer consulting workers, wherein they gather feedback, input from workers. But still, it's the designer who has the who has the final call on what to implement and how to design technology. And number three, we have the workers participating in the design. So this is more, we are moving towards greater worker participation in this case, wherein we actually involve them, they have the say, and we actually engage with them and seek out their input. And then lastly, we have the workers as designer. So it's worker led. Okay, so although the previous one is worker participate in design, it's still the designer who takes the lead. But in this option, we have the workers as designers. So they lead the design and implementation. So these are the different four options for step one. Now, after we have considered that, we go to step two, which is to determine the approach for collecting data and insights. Of course, we need data. Okay, it's not only like, okay, we think about it in an isolated island, just what economists usually assume, but we have to collect data because we need to make informed decisions. So we can do that in three ways, no? So first, we have the empirical approach, which is more on the observations, and we do interviews of real life experiences. And then the second is the experimental approach, which is we actually test prototypes in controlled settings. So we develop prototypes, and then we sort of deploy it, pilot test it, and then we observe, what is what will the data that we can generate. And then the last one is scenario based, which is using hypothetical situations to explore possible responses. So this can be used individually, so it's not mutually exclusive. You can combine several approaches for collecting data and insights, and of course, how deep the insight you should get to develop the technology. And then we have step three. Decide on the mode of worker participation. So this is typically divided into direct and indirect. So we can the choice here depends on scale, feasibility, and the organization's existing communication structures. And then number four, you have now once you have set which options you take from step one to step three, now you can implement specific worker participation methods. Of course, there are hundreds, okay? The last time I read it, there are hundreds, and actually for some of our colleagues developed worker participation methods. So you can look at the website, there's what we call solutions directions. You can browse through that, and you actually see these different methods. But we highlight here 6 different worker participation. We have co-design, value co-creation, resonant co-creation. You can also do living lab, explainable AI, human in the loop. So for the interest of time, I would like to direct your attention to our website so you can read more about these different methods and you can implement them yourself, or you can also consult the experts who belong to the SEISMEC project, because we have strong expertise on this. Okay, so now let's go to the transversal. So these are different considerations. So when you choose the options from step 1 to step 4, you can consider this, different considerations. So for example, you can consider the step 5, we just call it step 5, consider contextual factors. So this must be about the context, about labor laws, management approach, some past research, while you also adapt it to the sector-specific needs. So, for example, if you are as SMEs, so perhaps you can benefit from informal process. If you are public sector, then you might be required to follow specific structured frameworks. And in this case, I want to highlight that, of course, there's always this what we call power asymmetry that must be addressed through facilitation and anonymous way, so that the workers must feel safe to voice out their opinions, to voice out, to share their ideas, and also to give feedback. And then step 6, we have employee education and training. So as what I've been saying before, workers might not have the education or the training to actually contribute during the design process. So you have to consider the skills, the communication, the decision making, the problem solving, and design thinking. Workers must understand the rights and roles within participatory structures to contribute meaningfully. So this is like creating a safe space, but also is skilling our employees so that they can participate meaningfully. Yeah. Now we have go to step 7, which is mentoring in peer learning. So mentorship and peer learning ensure continuity by having experienced workers guide newer participants. So we have different, knowledge, experiences, skills. Of course, those who are already more mature in terms of, in developing, participating in design development, they might have more experiences to share. So it's very important that we also foster knowledge transfer and sustained engagement. So we encourage peer exchanges, actually encourage innovation and shared ownership of outcomes. So step 8 is feedback and communication. So there are some formal and informal channels, right? So we have like suggestions, systems. So how can you facilitate this, meaningfully, in a sense that, sometimes you have to anonymize so that they feel safe sharing the ideas. And of course, feedback loops. So it's not enough that you allow your workers to say, but you don't do anything on this, no? It's very bad. You also have to facilitate that, okay, we have followed this feedback because that's this and that, or we did not follow this because this and that, okay? So it's open communication is very important. And then number 9, co-determination work council. These are formal structures like work councils or union that will institutionalize worker participation. So some organizations have unions, some have do not have, but this is true legal mechanisms for influencing company decisions. So some countries they have this, they have this representative workers sitting in non-supervisory board. So this can be considered during the worker participation process. Step 10. We have to align risk perceptions across level. So organizations must bridge gaps between employee daily risk perception and strategic organizational risk approaches through structured dialogue and clear communication of risk boundaries. So there's always that risk, but if both parties actually have a good understanding of the different risks, then it becomes more effective. And then last is step 11. So we have to align organizational goals with worker participation. So we do not actually avoid thinking about how can this affect business, because there's this the goal. Okay, so it must be not only short term, but we have to improve skills development and human-centered design principles. So it requires recognizing collective representations roles like unions or work councils, ensuring participatory mechanism complement established channels rather than becoming very tokenistic. So these are the 4, and just give you here the diagrammatic representation of these different steps, the 4 sequential steps and the 7 transversal steps, which will help you implement design and implement technology. Now we go to some okay, before we do that, actually we have painstakingly, and design put it in our website. Because of just me talking about it, you might forget it afterwards, but we put it in the website so that you can actually visit, look at the different steps, review the different steps, and in your own organizations you can actually apply this. So just go to this website, SEISMEC.eu, and then you will actually have more information on this. Thank you. Then we have the question now is, how do we apply this in real life? Of course, the steps by steps. Until now, it's still, how can I really do this? So I'm going to give you some case studies, so which are actually drawn from real life examples. Okay, are you ready? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to some real world scenarios, so case studies. So I want you to participate, to give your ideas, also to answer based on the things that I have already discussed a while ago. Okay. So let's have this first case study, from the automotive sector. So I will just read it and then I'll give you time later. I'll give some questions and then we'll answer the questions together. Of course, I will solicit your answers first so that we can have more interactive discussion. So this first case study is about the company from the automotive sector. So I'll just read it. So a large European manufacturer of car parts operating several high-volume automated plants sought to introduce an AI-based task recommender system. So they want to implement the task recommender system to support machine operators. So that the system aimed to help workers schedule tasks, anticipate maintenance needs, and respond to material changes in real time, in strengthening worker engagement, safety, and skills development. But instead of replacing human judgment and decision making, the system would augment human capabilities. So it's not a technology that will replace, but it's actually more of augmenting or complementing human capabilities. Providing operators with relevant data and decision support tools. However, early trials revealed mixed reactions. Some operators saw the AI as an opportunity to reduce workload and increase predictability. However, others feared de-skilling, loss of autonomy, and algorithmic oversight. Now, workers emphasize the need for transparency. So they share that they should know like how does this AI based work, what data it's collecting, how does it schedules or anticipate maintenance need or changes in material. Now, they wanted to understand why the system suggested specific tasks, not just what to do next. So this is like the background. Okay. So I hope that you got the you got the this case study, and then we'll these are some questions that you might want to answer. Okay. So can you suggest a model of worker involvement which would fit the company's approach and goals? And what risk might arise from unequal knowledge or authority between designers, engineers, and workers? And third question is, how can organizations ensure that worker input leads to tangible design changes rather than a symbolic participation? What governance or feedback structures can institutionalize worker voice in advanced technology development? Number five, what training or support do workers need to critically engage with AI tools? And number six, how might participatory approaches influence future industrial innovation? So, but in this case, we don't need really to answer all of these questions, but I think we can deal in depth with question one, two, and question three. If we have time, then we can discuss the rest of the question. Okay.
So do you want to give answers in the chat?
Yes, you can answer the chat, but you can also unmute your phone, unmute your microphone, and you can share your insights on this. Thank you. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, 2 minutes to think about the situation and maybe answer one, two, three questions. Okay, so have you thought about how to approach this? Yeah, maybe you can show the questions. So which can you suggest a model of worker involvement? So remember we have four types there. We have the designers representing workers, designers consulting workers. We have also the workers as designers and workers participating in the design. So what do you think is there's no right or well, there's a wrong answer here. Wrong answer is, of course, there's no human participation or worker participation. That's a wrong answer. But there are many correct answer in this case. Yeah. Okay, maybe I can call someone who can
We have an answer in the chat from
okay.
Peter. You might check it.
Okay. Anyone confronted with change stakeholders who want to have control, so they need to be involved. The division of labor. Okay, socio-technical organization follows rules how to ensure. Nice. I love this answer because it's actually touching on the um, a different. I was also this. I was also part of the discussion is actually on managing division of labors, no, at every step. Okay. Okay. Okay, but we can also think about workers participating in design. No? So, for example, rather than designers or technology or um, programmers who just consult or interpret workers' needs, workers' needs, it would be better for them to actually co-create design solutions in collaboration with software developers, ergonomics, and production supervisors. So it's actually a joint effort. Well, this is just my idea on this. So co-creation is I think one, and the model of worker involvement here is workers participating in design. Yes. And we can, so following on the answers or on the answer of Peter, this is what we call cross-functional design teams. So where each worker's input could directly influence system functions such as the interface layout, the alert systems, and task prioritization algorithms. Okay, so that's actually some of the suggestions I can give. In terms of collecting data as well, or insights, you can do a combination of empirical, experimental, or scenario based. So empirical could be about observing, interviewing with operators during different shifts to map out current task management practices, what is there, and what are the stress points. No, so why do we have this task scheduling system? Experimental, we can do rapid prototyping. So we develop now the interface and then deploy it in a sort of controlled setting. Scenario based, we can simulate unexpected events, right? So what are some of the unexpected events that might happen? Like, for example, if there is a machine breakdown, what would you do, right? If there is a rush order, so bulk orders, no? So we actually encounter this in manufacturing, no? And of course, evaluate as well how workers interact with AI recommendations. Okay?
Also, Annie told us explainable AI and Lara collaborative design.
Yes, exactly. So what is it about collaborative design? Can you share your insight on that and explainable AI as well? So
Yes, I can do. You talked about that it wanted to that the auto machine company wanted to do something with AI, and they want to give the employees the reason why it works and not really just follow the steps. So I thought maybe if you do explainable AI, then they get an explanation of what they need to do instead of just what they should do.
exactly. I love that. I love that. And it's also we can think about different confidence levels and textual explanations into the recommender system to make decisions logic visible to workers. So I think this addresses the transparency. Thank you for that. Collaborative. There's someone who answered collaborative design. Lara, can you expound on that? So, for example, in building the interface, right, you can have you can collaboratively sketch the interface, allow for interface mockups or designers, right? So maybe at the interface part, you can do collaborative design there, how to better, communicate these different considerations. Okay, so I think that's for the question number one. Do we have time for a second question? I think we can. So, what risk might arise, do you think, from unequal knowledge or authority between designers, engineers, and workers? What different risks you can think of? What do you think? Yeah, maybe that's an assignment for you. I can think of course, there's always, an equal knowledge. So I would like to highlight as well, like what are the different um, how can you make these different boundaries in AI decision making, and how do you think that their input informs system recalibration? Of course, they as they use the system, it might they might get bothered or pestered with the system rather than actually helping them. So, and they might, you think, okay, this AI is actually making our work, giving us more work than is necessary. So you have to also factor that in implementing the AI. Okay, so I would say ensuring that workers understand the boundaries of AI decision making and making them understand how their input inform system recalibration. Okay, and then last one, perhaps, how can organization ensure that worker input leads to tangible design changes rather than a symbolic participation? What do you think? Okay. So Peter shared here in the chat box, an equal authority points to the management structure of an organization. Yes, correct. Maybe this can be different, no, across organizations depending on the. We had some discussions before. If the organization is very large, they might have a different, structure, power structure or hierarchy compared to smaller organizations which have a flat hierarchy in that case. Okay, but I would say to have this meaningful participation, so I would, as a company, I would have training sessions to empower workers on AI principles, data privacy, and decision support interpretation, mentorship programs as well, uh, pairing senior operators with newer staff to support technology adoption, and of course, digital feedback channels where workers could submit improvement ideas and report usability these issues directly to the design team. So it actually helped shift attitudes from skepticism to curiosity and ownership. Yes? Okay, I think we are now ready to discuss the second case study. This is a bit long, but we'll try to read it for you. Uh, you can read with me, so that we can also have a shared understanding of this. So this is about, so from automotive, we go now to a textile, no, textile sector. So a medium-sized European textile manufacturer is developing an AI-driven inspection system, okay, for defect detection. So identifying small weaving defects, stains, and color inconsistencies in real time. So traditionally, this process is performed by highly trained human inspectors. So they actually look at, the textile. And according to some of the people we interviewed, they are actually very um, sort of accurate because they can detect subtle defects. No? However, as you might correctly surmised, manual inspection can be time consuming, can be physically demanding, and can be influenced by fatigue, leading to occasional errors. So people get tired, right? Our eyes get tired. So this might lead to some errors, no? So they might miss some of the defect. Now, to enhance inspection accuracy, reduce fatigue, and maintain high quality standards, the textile manufacturing SME is developing an AI-driven real-time inspection system that uses computer vision and deep learning to flag anomalies as fabrics move along the production line. And then the shift toward automation raised mixed reactions. So some welcome reduction in repetitive strain, while others fear job loss and devaluation of human skills, because it depends on craftsmanship and years of experience. The company faces an important question now. How can workers meaningfully participate in designing and implementing this new technology, so the AI-driven inspection system? Moreover, challenges of sustained participation over time required ongoing management, commitment, and some inspectors felt uneasy about their changing roles and identify as quality experts. So managers face uncertainty on how to integrate AI without eroding trust or identity among experienced inspector. So that's the case study, and we have some of the guide questions. So which model of worker involvement, quite similar as to the first case study, which model of worker involvement best fits this case? How can tacit worker knowledge improve the accuracy and usability of AI system? So as I've said, no, even the management is they are impressed with how this highly trained can able to detect defects. You cannot see anything, but they can actually see. Maybe their eyes are already trained to do that. Number three, what strategies have built workers' trust when AI systems make decisions affecting product quality or job performance? What kind of training and feedback loops enable continuous participation? How can formal structures like work councils or unions enhance legitimacy? In long term, it's a typo error, so it should be long-term collaboration. And how might participation in AI projects influence broader? So this is more on the, when we want to apply it on the broader textile industry. So digital transformation. So I give you 2 minutes again to think about, so that you have also time to use the brain that was given to you by nature. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, so it's your time to shine from the interactive discussion. So let's first play perhaps I think we have some answer here from our most participative audience. Sir Peter, we have so unequal authority points on my structures. Maybe we can give some time to Sir Peter to explain also what is this so I'm not very familiar with the abbreviation, so maybe we can give the floor to Sir Peter. Sir Peter, could you please explain whether this answer you gave in the chat?
Sorry, I just had my mouth full with some bread. So I think the overview that you gave is very helpful for organizations that are not yet human-centric, but you want them to stimulate worker participation in the change process. And then these methods are very helpful. But more fundamentally, if an organization is already designed in a human-centric manner, then through the division of labor, worker participation is then already guaranteed. For example, in the primary process, but also when it comes to the change process, because that would be organized as a separate stream of work. And then the participation of people who are confronted with the new change would automatically be able to participate in that change. So you can say there are two different things. So you have methods to help worker participation in case organizations are not well designed yet. And you have a method to organize organizations in a human-centric manner. And then these extra methods are not needed anymore.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we want to help bring those organizations which have less human participation to to a certain level. But of course, whatever works for the organization. So if they're already implementing their own participatory methods, of course they can continue. But we also part of the project is actually evaluation. No? So how effective are these different methods, no, for certain organizations, so they can make an evaluation of whether they are effectively incorporating or integrating employees' voice in the design implementation of technology. Thank you for raising that very good point, Sir Peter. Yeah. So we have also, so I would maybe to answer number one, there's like, I would say, same thing, workers participating in design, where you can actually, you can invite inspectors to these design sessions, and they can help define system requirements and interface layouts, and of course acceptable threshold for AI accuracy. So the AI there, the AI model can provide, well, in building the model, no, they have to, of course, to test it. And then what is the threshold for AI accuracy so that it becomes acceptable, no, to for implementation. In terms of data collection, you can also do some empirical observation on the production floor. For experimental testing, you can do some AI prototype models. And for scenario-based exercises, you can do simulate false positives or missed defects. So these sessions reveal that inspectors can actually rely on tacit visual knowledge, small texture variation, touch or sound that AI might overlook. Okay. So workers also emphasize the need for transparency. So they wanted to understand why the AI flags certain defects. So that's sort of my input. I think we have someone who.
Yes, it's
Yes.
Alessandro. I am the textile owner of the pilot. So maybe if you want, I can give you some comments about this from
Yes,
the point of
please.
view. Okay, so I agree as regards to what you said, because as regards the involvement of the workers. So let's consider that these workers are very, very skilled in the fabric quality inspection. Clearly, they are not so skilled as regards the technology. But my purpose as an industry is to involve them, because the system is not aimed at substituting the workers. It is aimed to relieve their heavy job, so providing suggestions. Then I imagine that the system will stop when the image inspection is highlighting a defect, and then in that moment the worker has to start the job to validate the result of the AI, and then if there is a defect, to correct the defect. Okay, and this is a manual activity which involves the worker. Okay, eventually we can also imagine how to evolve the AI model in order to support the analysis of the defects and to eliminate the false positive, which we expect might happen. Okay, as regards the first point. So this is in practice what happens. So it is already, let's say, considered the deep involvement of the worker, because the system is expected to collaborate with the workers. As regards the accuracy and the usability of the system, clearly there is a direct feedback from the user. So I think that we will have no problem. As regards the trust, so clearly the trust is related with the response of the system. Too much false positive will be bad, but also there could be the opposite situation where they have to check all the fabrics because the system is not able to spot the defects, and therefore it is not relieving their job. So it is a matter related with the quality of the performance of the AI. As regards the training and feedback loops, clearly there is a continuous interaction between the workers and the system. The system is expected to learn by doing also from the analysis of the defects which are spotted by the workers, and in some cases will be not spotted by the AI, the image analysis. So even in this case, I don't see a great problem into the relationship. Really, the trust is related with the performance, and the training is related with the interaction, with the real interaction. But we will have a part of the training which anyway is out of this, because will be the technical training to spot the defects, which is not carried out by the system. It's something else. So formal structure and unions. Then clearly there is a trade-off. Probably I expect that having an automated system which supports the worker can be seen as a relief of the job, and can be seen also of a sharing of a responsibility, because this job is very, very heavy on the side of responsibility, because if we deliver fabrics with defects, this is a problem, because we pay for each defect which has not been highlighted to the brands. So it is necessary to explain in deep to the unions which is the purpose of the system. But apart from this, I think that they could give us a positive feedback as regards the application of the system. As regards the participation in AI project, generally, this is positive because textile is a very traditional sector, but it is also a sector where the impact of the new technologies can be significant, more than expected, because it has very specific peculiarities which involve a lot the workers, and the involvement of the workers would also mean the incorporation into the AI models of the experience of the workers. Therefore, as regards this, I see a very positive influence, and in a certain way, we start from a lower technology than other sectors, then the margin of improvement is significantly higher than sectors where the technology is widely used in the production. Okay. So from my point of view, this is the current situation. So I see a very positive potential of collaboration.
Yes, thank you, Sir Eugenio, for that very comprehensive answer. It's actually also address, the broader digital transformation in the textile industry. It comes to my mind before we were thinking about creating a joint AI oversight committee who can, who is composed of worker and of course some management presentation for this technology. Okay, so I tried to wrap up all the things that we have discussed and we have learned from this case study. So I'm going to give you some. So while we are actually discussing, we are writing these key takeaways that we have. So for case study one, this is the message that we leave you. So co-creation ensures technologies reflects the realities and values of the people who use them. Transparency, explainability, these are the keywords that are essential for trust in AI system. Sustained participation requires education, feedback, mechanisms, and support. Worker participation is both a design strategy and a cultural commitment, key to building resilient, human-centered industry. And for the key takeaways from the case study 2, as already mentioned by Sir Eugenio, we have worker participation. It's not like these technologies will replace humans, but it complements, or it actually sometimes relieve them, from fatigue, from bird unnecessary work burden. So worker participation turns AI into a shared learning process, not a top-down change. So explainability, transparency are vital for trust and adoption. Participation requires time, facilitation, it evolves, from crude to more advanced technology, and shared commitment as well. And training. So, but because it enhances the system, so it's also the trained humans who actually contributes in terms of further improving the model or the system, reliability as well as the acceptance. And embedding participation into formal structures ensures long-term sustainability. And the future of textile production depends on co-evolution of people and technology and not actually competing between them. So it's better that they work together rather than they annihilate each other. Okay, thank you. So let's hear from your organizations now. So we'll have to if you are too shy a while ago to chat or to unmute your microphone, this is your chance, no, to share your own perspective on workers' participation. So we have some questions there that you can answer. We will also, use those input to further shape um, the reports, the deliverable for this project, because we are also learning from your experiences or from practical experience, real life experiences. Okay. So how does your organization or ecosystem empower workers when using technology? So um, if you are not yet doing it, then you can actually just say nothing for that. Okay. Okay. Meetings. Okay, good. It says that if a meeting does not have food, then it should be an email. Email. Okay. Nice. Okay. Using it like good. Correcting needs, meetings, service requirements. Yeah, training. AI training. No? So we actually also highlighted that in one of our case studies, like AI literacy training, explaining basic maybe machine learning principles, and of course peer mentoring programs. Okay, still had to be adapted. Yeah, good tacit knowledge exchange can be, you know, these people can experts grow old, eventually they die, replaced by younger, workers who have less experience or have to be trained. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Let's go to the next question. What approaches or methods do you currently use to involve workers and the design implementation technology if you are already doing it? So as mentioned by Sir Peter, some organizations are uh, participation is already embedded in the organization. So maybe we can learn from you, if you have some ideas that you can share and it works, we can have further conversation on this matter. Okay. Yes. I think some people are okay, good. Yes, I like that. I love that collaborative design, workshops. Okay. So we can have workshops for collaborative design, deep discussion. So I like that deep discussion as well. So we have this in my country, we have actually nice some nice beaches. We can do deep discussion under the water. So that would be deep discussion. Just joking. So deep discussion. Okay, so lowland sociotechnology, survey, brainstorming, yeah, testing with some workers. Yeah, so this is more on the prototyping, communication. Good. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Thank you for that. What main challenges or would you encounter in involving workers and technology design? Of course, this is not like a walk in a park on a sunny day. Sometimes it's a walk on a park on a rainy day in the Netherlands, no? So that can be there's some challenges as well. So what did you encounter some challenges or some people are more reluctant, or they're not only reluctant but also trying to resist, no? Okay, correct. Digital literacy, yeah. AI literacy. Misunderstanding, management, yeah. With bus, align good jobs with bus. Perhaps they like the old way better. Okay. Yeah, it's normal, no? Human nature to resist change. It's also the managed scope creep, yeah. It's also encountered in software development projects. We have that requirements creep, no? So, and also like moving goalpost, so moving targets. So that's actually also a challenge. Okay, thank you for that. I think most of the things that you mentioned here, we also encountered in our interviews with experts and with company representatives. Okay, next question. What types of solutions would best fit your organization's context to enhance worker participation and technology? Okay. So what do you think is the best solution? Safety. I maybe safety is from the previous, no? From the previous question. Human-centered management, productivity, help employees, yeah. You can also look at our websites. We have there some solution directions, which was, compiled and analyzed by our research partners. I find them really very helpful. You can just choose which one fits your organization's context. I think Anne is here. She's the queen of the solution directions. Yes, she developed those solution directions. Can ask more about those things to Anne. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for your participation, guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the next steps for the project. If you do if you do have in mind the one questions until the end of the meeting, I will truly invite you to write it down in the chat or to open your mic. I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna let you put your questions. Next step for the project, we are planning to do online workshops in the future. In 2026, we will have the SEISMEC framework and we will organize an innovation camp in 2027. As you were invited in the registration form, you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can do it by using the QR code here in the slide. And I'm truly grateful for this amazing workshop and for the insights shared by our speakers. Thank you, Veronica, Chantal, and Vladimir for this amazing workshop. And for all of you, thank you for participating in our event, and see you next time.